Hello, my name is Yusha Bey. I'm one of the CNM2 clean room engineering staff. I'm here to create the training video for the EVG 810 low temperature plasma activation. So when you approach the tool, just like most of our dry etchers, they will always be under vacuum. We never leave any tool at atmosphere. Also, some special notes for this activator. We try to keep this chamber incredibly clean. So that means no metals allowed, no polymers allowed, like no plasma ashing, and that all needs to be performed in our Technics RIE or our Plasmatherm fluorine etch. Those are chambers that can accommodate all those materials. This chamber or this tool is primarily used in concert with our wafer bonder. It's for surface activation. That's why we avoid the metals. And I guess going back to the metal comment, if people do use metals, that will eventually shield our electrodes, and that'll compromise our plasma performance. So in order to keep things running smoothly, only like virgin wafers, piranha clean silicon or glass or indium phosphide or whatever your substrate is. But going back, this tool is used in concert with our wafer bonder. People will do like indium phosphide to silicon, gallium arsenide to silicon, and that activation step is what enables that bond process. And also people will do what's called a pre-bond. They'll activate, then they'll just apply pressure, and then using our IR microscope will determine if it's a void-free film before moving to an anneal step. So anyways, that was a side note. We're going back to the tool. So our first step will be to bring our chamber up to atmosphere. I guess before doing that, I guess we can walk over here. So to log in on this tool, everyone uses the same login account. It's an engineering account. And we have to use the engineer account because that's the only way that the user or the operator is able to get into a manual mode outside of using recipes to pump the chamber down and to vent the chamber. So in case you come here and, oops, it's logged out. It's not a very sophisticated password, but it's just EN. Password is also the letter E, letter N. That's Naomi. You log in. So here we are. We see that we're at vacuum. You see you have all your parameters here on this little table. So we want to go ahead and press this dialog box with our left click. Want to go to vacuum system. We want to purge our chamber. We want to go to MFC2 purge line 3. We want our set point to be 5,000 SCCM. Press OK. Now we're bringing our chamber up to atmosphere. Okay, we're at 1 bar, and I guess you can actually hear stuff. I don't know if the camera picks it up, but you can hear the chamber coming to atmosphere. So we want to go back to this activation module, left click, and we want to leave maintenance. In order to run recipes, we must be in operation mode. Leave our maintenance. Now we see that this is green. So now we're ready to perform processes. So I guess the order I'll do this, I'll just show you how to run a job, then I'll show you how to edit and create jobs afterwards. So we go to this add job button. We want to go to, I don't know, Yusha training. Well, let's pick one of our lab members' recipes. Do a oxygen and nitrogen activation. That's pretty popular press next, and then here, so these values don't matter. This is more for like an automated tool with robots moving substrates around. So we can leave these as they are, plus they're your only options. Press next. So once you're here, then you press finish. Alright, so before we're doing this, so since we're using oxygen, we have a oxygen cylinder that's connected to this, so we need to actually walk back into the chase and open that cylinder. So let's do that. Alright, this is our oxygen cylinder connected to the activation tool. So we open it. This should always be closed. Sometimes user leaves it open, but most users close it. So this will open our cylinder. Then we also have another little switch on the regulator itself. We also want to make sure that this is open. There we go, and I guess go over some regulator basics. So this is the pressure going into our tool. And then this is our pressure inside the cylinder. And you never have to adjust the regulator here. Okay, so we can go back to the tool. Okay, regulator is open. So now we want to go ahead and load our wafer into the chamber. So the way they designed this tool, in order to avoid pinch hazards, you have to use two hands to open the chamber. You have two green buttons. Right here, right here. So I need to place the mic down in order to open the chamber. And also, when I'm holding these buttons down, I need to make sure I hold them until this lid opens all the way. If I stop in the middle, I'll get an error on my software. You can bring the camera over here, just see that chamber is very clean. Here are our loading pins. And yeah, just again, reinforcing that note that only very clean wafers are allowed in here. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to load a 6-inch wafer. People do bond, smaller pieces, 3-inch wafers, 10 by 10 millimeter dies, etc. So typically you could use a 6-inch wafer as a carrier and put your die on top of that for the activation. Okay, so now I'm going to close the chamber. Again, just pressing the buttons with using both my hands. Chamber closed. So now we need to go to the software and acknowledge that we third our material. Left click on the done. And now the tool will take over. So very automated. We just sit back and enjoy the ride. So it's going to go through a series. It's going to purge the chamber. So what this tool will do, it'll actually pump and purge with the particular process gas that you're using. So, you know, I have an oxygen plasma, so it's going to pump and purge of oxygen. And then once it gets to the nitrogen activation phase of this recipe, it's going to pump and purge of nitrogen. Okay, so the recipe just finished up. So now it's time to unload our wafer. However, what you'll see from time to time is that the recipe will not bring the chamber all the way up to 1.1 bar. So in that event, I'll say most of the time, that's when you need to switch over into the manual mode in order to finish it off. So we'll go ahead and do that. First, we'll just skip to the end just to finish the recipe. We'll just say done here. Enter maintenance. Vacuum system. Purge. Purge line 3. 5,000 SCCM. Okay, and then we should be at atmosphere. So let me go ahead and open the chamber. Going to remove my wafer. Going to close the lid. Right, and finally, and we do this all the time, we're going to go ahead and pump the chamber back down. So vacuum system, evacuate this time. We're going to choose the evacuate low. Press OK. And then last but not least, we're going to go ahead and close the oxygen cylinder. All right, we close the valve on the regulator. And then we're going to close the valve on the cylinder. That's it. So that is the basic operation of the plasma activation, EVG plasma activation tool. Thank you for listening.